Valley, hooey Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic can be a panic.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of That Movie Show. Mike Wendt and Eddie McCabe taking you through a week of movie talk. Eddie, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great. I had a really fun realization today that the saddest piece of mail that you can ever get.
Yeah.
I went to my mailbox today and I opened it up and there was one piece of mail that was delivered to me. And it said to me or whoever lives there.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I looked at it and I was like, that's got to be the most depressing piece of mail ever, where it's just like, whenever you get a letter, you're excited. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, at least in my industry, I get paid by check, so people mail me checks. And so it's like, ooh, exciting mail. And then this is the polar opposite of that, because it's just like, yeah, this could be for you. Or literally any asshole that lives here. So
I mean, it's usually like junk mail, like Superman coupons
100%.
and shit like that.
100%. It was definitely like for Comcast, high-speed internet. But I just sat there and looked at it because it was the only piece of mail I got. And I was just like, wow, that's so depressing. Because it's one of those things where it's just like, nobody loved me today to send me literally anything. Right. Even so much that the one company that did send me something didn't even care if it was me.
It wasn't really about me.
Yeah, it wasn't about me. It was about where I live, and that's sad.
Yeah, it's not like that. Is it State Farm commercials where the football players think they're getting special deals? It's like, no, the deal's not for you. It's for everybody.
Yeah, it's for everybody.
You are not special.
Yeah, you're not special. So, yeah, I came to that realization today.
Aww.
So,
Hopefully that was the only bad part.
Look, here's the thing. I don't know if you've gotten this over the last several episodes of this podcast, but I think that we're all going through a weird existential crisis because we're coming up on the year anniversary of the lockdown that was supposed to be 2 weeks.
Yes.
So
I mean, we're pretty much doing this just to still have some semblance of normalcy in our lives.
Oh, I put on real pants. Like I got dressed as a person today, and I got dressed like a person, and I was just like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know why I put on pants. I did.
There is no dress code on That Movie Show.
No, there isn't. Usually I'm in sweat shorts. I have sweat shorts.
Not even sweatpants.
No, sweat shorts. They are half pants. That is.
You know how they say when you put on sweatpants, you've given up? Well, he gave up and then an extra half.
Yeah, that's like another layer. That's like the second level of Dante's Inferno level of giving up.
Jesus Christ.
For the majority of the summer, it was straight up gym shorts and tank tops. And I didn't even put on real shoes.
Look, I could probably count, I would say on one hand, but I'm just going to be a little bit more realistic and say definitely two hands, the amount of times since lockdown started almost a year ago that I've put on socks.
Oh, let's see.
Because it started in the spring, so that through summer flip-flops down here on the Cape.
Yeah, of course.
Didn't need them. I rarely wear socks. Like, it's literally if I have to go somewhere. And when do I have to go anywhere? I don't know. When I run out of beer?
Yeah, right. I gotta go to the supermarket because I need food. But even that's a
that
maybe.
shit gets delivered.
Yeah. Oh, see, I gotta go.
Even if you're doing curbside, you don't have to get out of your car, so you can still put flip-flops on. I have a garage, so it's not like my car's parked outside.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, I mean, because think about that. Even this show has gone through a weird evolution. You know what I mean? Because this time last year, we were doing okay, we will do the movie news, and then we will do the movie review, and now it's just oh, I don't know, let's have a therapy session for 45 minutes and then review a movie.
Yeah, but we try to circle it around every once in a while to movies. But I mean, realistically, a year ago, we were trying to do good because we had a potential contract with Showcase coming up.
That's true.
We had this time last year, I think we had just sat down with them.
Yeah.
Because our deal with the radio station ended in March. The last two shows were during COVID.
That's right.
So we had either a year this week or next week was when we had that meeting with Showcase that went very well.
Oh, yeah.
And then movie theaters stopped being a thing.
Yeah, the movie theater stopped being a thing. And we couldn't. I saw Bloodshot somewhere around this time.
Yeah. Fucking Invisible Man was the last thing. It was like a week before COVID, so it must have been like a year and 2 weeks or something like that.
Couldn't have even been Sonic 2. That would have. I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog. That would have been fun. That movie was delightful.
See, I still haven't watched that. I missed that one completely. Is it streaming anywhere, or is it still just like $20 rental charge? Because I'm not paying $20.
Oh, don't pay for it. But if it's, I'd be surprised if it wasn't somewhere like HBO or Peacock.
I would imagine HBO Max seems to be sucking up everything. Just God bless them.
Because it might be a Paramount movie, so they might be waiting for Paramount Plus, which was advertised heavily.
Right.
At the Super Bowl.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up getting that too.
Well, like, probably.
The more I look at what they're going to be offering, it's probably going to be one. Especially because I've been holding the one big thing, I guess. The thing I want to watch that I've been holding off on is Chiklis's new show, The Coyote, which was supposed to air on the Paramount Network, which I think it's still called that. I don't know. I haven't watched Bar Rescue in a while. But that channel. And then it didn't premiere because of COVID. And then they moved it to CBS All Access, their streaming thing, which is going to be just absorbed into Paramount Plus. And I'm like, well, I don't want to sign up now when I can sign up in like 3 weeks and get every fucking thing.
Yeah, you might as well. They advertise so much, and it's going to be very interesting because like
Sonic at the moment, by the way, is only available with a premium subscription to Sling.
Oh, no, thank you.
Which is basically like a cable replacement. Like I had YouTube TV, same gimmick.
So it's going to be very interesting because Netflix is going to go away like very soon, at least into that tier of like whatever that horror movie one is, Shudder. It's going to go into that Shudder Hi-Ya tier, where it's like, there's some stuff on there. You can find some gems, but like it doesn't have good things anymore because they literally don't. Everything's getting taken away. Like all of these companies just decided like, oh, we can just do this. Oh, that's all I'm going to do.
And I mean, I agree with you to a point. Netflix has been successful enough for long enough that they're probably, when they go away, it probably won't be for about 5 years or so, maybe.
Yeah,
like it's not going to be intimate. But where I felt they shot themselves in the foot, especially during this year, was the not only stopping, like everybody stopped production during COVID.
Yeah,
they canceled shows. Like they straight up was like they were already started. Like the one that pissed me off and really kind of killed them for me is Glow.
Yeah,
because they were in their announced final season already filming. And they're like, not only are we stopping production, we're not going to ever continue production. And it's like, and then you get HBO Max and all these other things. Get that fucking echo. And all these other things doing original content. Like during COVID, they're putting out original content. And it's like, that's where it's going to kill them. But again, they're still successful enough.
The problem,
they have like, it's going to be the original movies and shows that makes or breaks them going forward because once all the studios start getting going, they'll still license it out because money. But it's not going to be as exclusive of a license. You'll see like stuff like I noticed on HBO Max, like Die Hard's went like you can almost tell when a movie's license is up because it will pop up everywhere. And now Die Hard is a Disney one because that was a Fox movie. But right now it's on HBO Max, Hulu, and I think one other, maybe Showtime, I think. So it's like, okay, so they just kind of opened the floodgates for Die Hard. It's like, anybody want to buy this for a couple months? Yeah, cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, right.
We need some influx of capital here. So buy Die Hard for a few months.
Well, and that's the worst part is like they really need to get back to producing their own original content because they were really good at it.
Everybody else is.
And everybody else is. It's like, oh, Disney, you're knocking all of this out of the park. WandaVision is fantastic. And I realized something because it was announced like at the beginning of WandaVision.
Yep.
We're in the final 3 episodes of WandaVision, and now they're all an hour.
Yes, they are.
And that's the best part is that we've gone through all the sitcom, like the half-hour sitcom stuff, and now we got 3 hours left.
Yep.
And I love, like, this is what when I talk about like the evolution of television and how television has become the premier medium. We told the story of, we told the story of the Avengers realistically over 20 plus movies. Yep. And so it was basically a television program, but we were telling it in 2-hour chunks, except for Endgame, which was 3 hours. But we were telling it in 2-hour chunks, and it's like, wow, I don't know. Watch 10 episodes at an hour a piece, right? Because like that's what they're talking about with the Winter Soldier, is like it's 6 to 8 episodes, and it's an hour each. So it's like, 8 hours of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Right. That's going to be awesome. That's going to be so great.
It also to that, it also is nice that they're not like giving themselves hard time limits on these things, because what I've always found, especially with stuff like Netflix, the comedies are so much easier and more fun to binge watch when they're 30 minutes.
Yes.
Anytime they try to do a comedy in and out, which is I think why they're doing the WandaVision this way, because it's been fun and cheeky and sitcom-y for up until like the last 2 episodes is when it started to, again, spoiler free, so don't worry, people.
Right.
But that it was fun and cheeky and stuff. And now that it's becoming the hour-long drama part of television,
right?
It's like I love that they're doing that. And the Falcon Winter Soldier, it looks like from the trailer I saw in the Super Bowl that it's going to be more in line with the movies.
It's going to be rated R.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That I did not hear.
For violence. So not language, but for violence.
That I did not hear. Interesting.
Yeah.
So that would be like the first thing Disney would put on Disney Plus being.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's come up quite a bit, mostly because I want to say, I think Canada got it and Australia. So on Disney Plus, because they don't have Hulu there.
Yeah.
But on Disney Plus, there's an added tier called Star, and it's all the Hulu stuff that we get. So all the Fox Die Hard, all the adult comedies and all everything. Like everything gets kind of filtered into that instead of Hulu. And people have been talking about the fact that Disney Plus probably in the next couple to few years is going to become that. So, at the top banner where we have Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic, there's going to be a secondary tier, which is like Hulu, Fox, et cetera, like that. Or ABC, Fox, because they'll just dissolve Hulu. And I'm like, at that point, because right now the bundle for that and ESPN will also be bundled into that as well, I guess.
Sure.
It's $12.99.
Yeah.
So even if it goes up $2, which it probably will, $2.
I always said that when Disney Plus was announced, we talked about it on the show, I would pay $20 for the vast amount of content that they were offering, and that was before Hulu.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I do remember that when we were having those conversations of what this would cost, and was floored when it came out that just Disney Plus is $6.99.
Yeah. Like, are you for real?
Really?
Yeah. That's why you have.
Did anybody tell Disney?
That's why you have 300 million subscribers.
Stealing from you. But yeah, I would see it bouncing up to about $15 if because it would add the ESPN part of it, and it would add the Hulu part of it.
Yeah.
And then everyone basically would probably be forced, at least I would hope. I hate all these different fucking options of things. Like I don't want the tiered program. Like the Hulu thing kind of annoys the shit out of me because the bundle comes with the ad version of Hulu.
Yeah, and if you want, you can pay more, and it's just like, oh, get out of here.
It's like I don't want options. Just give me one thing, and I'll eat that.
That's the thing that I don't like about Peacock, where it's like you can just have
even
Peacock. If you want, you can just have Peacock, or you can pay us money and you can get everything that's on Peacock, but you have commercials, or you can pay more and get everything on Peacock, but don't have commercials. And it's just like, get the fuck out of here.
It's not a lot of money either. It's not like they're talking about like, they're jumping from $5 to $25. It's like, it's literally like if you have Comcast, it's free with ads. Peacock, that is. Then it jumps up. If you don't have Comcast, that version of it is $4.99.
Yeah.
And then the full no ads version of it is like $9.99. And I'm much like, because that was a big thing that people, when WWE Network was announced that it was going to Peacock a couple weeks ago, it was, again, with WWE Network, there's only one thing. I mean, I guess there's a free. I don't fucking know, but we've always known it as you pay $10, you get the network. Now everybody's confused because of all these pricing tiers. It's like, wait, where is the W? It's like it's on all of them. You just have to figure out which one you want. Yeah. And it's like for me, great. I have Comcast. It's going to be for free. That's all I know. You know what I mean? I still have to turn it on because I think the only time I've watched it was Abbott and Costello when we reviewed that movie. But yeah, like great, cool. That's another $10 bill every month I don't have to pay. That's awesome. That's 100%. How I look at it at this point. Like I dumped Netflix. My brother ended up picking it up because the baby, there's like shows on there for kids and stuff, and she loves it. But I was at a point when I was offered Showtime for $8.99, and at that point, like I had got the email from Netflix that it was going up in price. Yeah. And again, you canceled Glow. That was what my sticking point. And it's like you're canceling all your fucking shows and raising the price. Yeah. Meanwhile, Showtime over here is doing new shit. Like I get a new Shameless every week, and there's a bunch of shows that I haven't watched in a while, and they're dropping their price. Yeah. Guess who's going to lose in that situation? Netflix?
Oh, 100%. It's absolutely stupid. You're losing all of your peoples.
Yep.
You're losing all your peoples, like, because you're getting, like, Disney's pulling shit, and, like, Sony is pulling stuff, Universal, like, everybody's pulling stuff. So you're losing content, and you're canceling original content, and then you're adding, like, you're costing more. Yep. Netflix, I don't want to tell you how history works, but you're really starting to look like Blockbuster, bud.
Yeah.
Like you're really, you're really starting to look like Blockbuster, pal. You know, like, man.
You become that which you have killed.
Yeah. You lived long enough to see, to become the villain, dude. That's exactly what happened, bro.
That's the fucking one. Is that going to be our segue into Justice League? I mean,
hell yeah, it is.
I don't know if we got a better segue than that Batman one right there, man. Yeah. All right. So after a year and change of build up and teasing, last week, Zack Snyder released a teaser trailer for the official trailer for this fucking movie that still hasn't come out yet. That annoyed me. Okay. Yeah. Just spoiler warning, I got some issues with this shit. This whole fucking marketing campaign, I'm over it. You know, a year and change ago when everybody was like, release the Snyder Cut, now I'm just like, just fucking release it.
Oh, okay? Yeah.
Like, I just want them to put this out so I can stop seeing them tease it. So anyway, would have been yesterday, I guess. We're recording this on a Monday. So yeah, yesterday, they finally released the full official trailer for Justice League.
Sure.
I got the notification as I was scrolling Instagram, and this is going to be my first gripe. And I've scoured the internet. I've looked in all the comment sections, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I haven't seen anyone bring this up, and I think I might be insane for this really being a bug in my ass, but it is. Maybe. So I saw on Instagram, I'm like, oh, the trailer's out. Great. So I go to my room where I have a 4K fucking monitor to go to their YouTube page so I can watch it because it's going to be an epic blockbuster movie trailer. Yep. I want to see the fucking scope of this shit. You know, this has got to be like the final scene of Endgame, man. I want to see the big wide screen frame of it, at least as big as my monitors will contain. Every single site I went to. First, I went to their YouTube page and I watched it. I'm like, why is it doing that? Then I go to Facebook, same thing. Then I go to HBO Max. HBO Max, it's at the header. Watch the trailer. It's the same thing. It's formatted in a Instagram square.
Yeah.
The aspect ratio is bonkers, and it's annoying the shit out of me. So, okay, think about like we referenced WandaVision. The first episode that was formatted like a 1950s television show, that's what they're showing this year-plus anticipated epic blockbuster comic book movie Snyder Cut Justice League shown in an Instagram square.
Yep.
What? Like that, it ruined it for me. First of all, the year buildup has kind of made me like, like it's just not like I'm over. You're not going to live up to your hype. Yes. It doesn't matter how many fucking characters you keep grabbing from this universe and stuffing into this fucking movie.
Yeah.
as cool as Jared Leto looks in comparison to his Suicide Squad version, which I know you have thoughts because it's another Joker. And
yeah,
of all this, it's like, just put the fucking thing out. It's like,
yeah,
I know enough of the story that you're not going to wow me to the point of, oh my God, Justice League is redeemed. It's a great fucking, just, I know myself, and I know how underwhelmed I was watching the 3-minute trailer I watched yesterday. Again, like there's two movies that are kind of like this right now. This is one, and then Black Widow is the other one, the other elusive, we haven't released it movie yet. Difference being, Disney isn't fucking tweeting about it every goddamn day. I don't have to see a still image of Scarlett Johansson behind the scenes every fucking day. But you've shown us the movie in tweets. I swear to God, I've seen the whole fucking movie in a year worth of Zack Snyder tweets that I'm just like, you've destroyed your own creation here, because it's like, and I know that the comic book folks who are really all about this, because everybody seemed very happy about it. I'm like, okay, that's your thing. If it makes you happy, great. God bless. We need happiness in this fucking time and day. But
True.
I was just wildly underwhelmed. And like, I can look at stuff and be like, okay, cool. That looks cool, but like the black suit or the spiky guy with the horn head. I don't know his name. Dark
Steppenwolf
or Steppenwolf. Whichever one's the guy who has the horn.
The horns from the first one. Yeah. Anyway,
he's in the first one. The guy in the first one.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah, that guy. So okay, he looks a little better. His costume looked cool and spiky and stuff. But like, that's not gonna it's not gonna excite me. What I will say, because I seem to be the only one with this melancholy attitude that I found online, this is going to really spike the fuck out of HBO Max subscriptions. They are going to make out like bandits in this.
Yes, they will.
Okay, now you go.
Now, I had to clear my throat there. So, all right, let's talk about, I guess.
You trying to shit talk? Now you go.
Yeah. So, first things first. Let's talk about the fact that Zack Snyder is a garbage filmmaker. Let's talk about.
We've reviewed at least one of his movies, I remember.
And so, look, here's the thing. 300 was a good movie, right? Watchmen was not that particularly good, because while you made some of the, like, while you visually made it look like it was the comic book in some places, you like missed the point on a bunch of characters.
Is Watchmen DC or Marvel?
It's DC.
Okay.
But you missed the point on like Rorschach, and like, he's not a good guy. Like,
I'm not sure which one that is. Blue Dong is the only one I know.
Yeah, not that.
Okay.
So there's that. Just watch Sucker Punch. Not going to go on my diatribe about Sucker Punch.
You know what? Watch our review of Sucker Punch.
Yeah, don't go
watch. Yeah, there's certain movies. That's one of them. We watched it, so you don't have to.
Yeah, watch our review of Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
His like attempt at a pro-feminism movie, but was ultimately just a 14-year-old boy's masturbatory fantasy.
It made no sense.
It's a garbage movie, right? And so then, look, I understand that this man made or was in the process of making a Justice League film.
Yes.
And halfway through making that Justice League film, his daughter passed away.
Yes.
So he stepped away from the project. Very sad. Feel for him on that. That's a life emergency. I get it. If I was in that boat, probably would do the same. Right. So then Joss Whedon comes in and steps into a movie that he did none of the pre-production on.
Correct.
And is just like, look, I got to get this movie done, because I assume Warner Brothers was like, it still needs to come out next February or whatever date it came out as.
Sure.
So he hacked up, slashed, changed the movie, and that's the Justice League we got. And so
now, also to that point, where was I going with it? Oh, so so correct me if I'm wrong, but Snyder had done Man of Steel, right? This was his third one. He did like a DC trilogy, right? It was because I knew he did the Batman versus Superman.
Right.
And he did Man of Steel as well?
Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and then into this.
So the team working with them, especially coming off of Batman versus Superman, because that kind of incorporated a lot of the guys and girls in this one. they had all kind of got to know him, and it seemed like, you know, especially the way the campaign online went, they all seemed to like him.
Yeah, sure. And
then after the fact, they really didn't seem to like Josh Whedon. Yeah. He seems like a bad guy.
Yeah, he doesn't seem
know.
Like I mean,
it seems like well, there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, he got booted off of the Avengers. He did the first 2 Avengers movies, and
I mean, I don't know. Maybe in hindsight, it will come out that he was a garbage person on those movies. But I remember the interviews he was given, and he just sounded like a petulant little cunt when he was doing the post interviews after Avengers. It's like, but they win. It was one of those things like,
right,
dude. You don't have to die on every hill. You know, that's how it sounded. It was minuscule little things that like Marvel wouldn't let him do. And it's like, it's not going to change the story. It's not going to make it a better movie if that's in there.
Yeah, right. So I think that attitude, I'm glad you brought that up, because it feels like that attitude is what he brought into Justice League and was like tried to reform the Justice League movie to make it his own. And so it's like, I understand that, you know, because like it came out where, and I forget where it was leaked or even if it was real, but it came out as to like what Rian Johnson's 3rd Star Wars movie was going to be.
I'm pretty sure he came out and said it. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he tweeted it at some angry person online.
Yeah, I just remember last year, or maybe it was this year. I don't know. This year's been 15 years, but he came out and was just like, yeah, and then this was going to happen, and that was going to happen, and this was going to be the payoff to that, and it's just like everybody lost their mind because they were like, I want to see that movie, and it feels like that's kind of what ended up happening with the Snyder Cut, where it was just like, yeah, and the Green Lantern was supposed to be in it, and like this thing was supposed to happen, and Darkseid was supposed to be in it, and like all that got cut, and so it became this like DC fanboy hype train of like, hey, like there was a better movie if we let the one guy make his movie. And it's like, I get that. I totally understand that having the one visionary guy do the project from start to finish, because instead we get this weird Frankenstein. And so I understand that. But what you've done is basically taken half of a movie that was already made, you're removing all of the stuff that Joss Whedon did, and now you're reshooting stuff with weird hindsight of all of the fan gripe of why they hated the first one.
There's a reason it's going to be over 4 fucking hours long, by the way.
Right.
Because he's putting it all in.
Right. You've been in this echo chamber of everything that was wrong with this movie, and you now just have the chance and the open checkbook apparently to just redo this movie in a way that you hope that the fans will like. And it's like, okay, I guess, but like you said, every week I feel like we get like the teaser to the teaser of the teaser with the, you know,
release a teaser to a trailer of a movie that's already come out. And then he's doing a re-release. Look, I get it. It's a whole new movie. Okay, fine. Whatever. Right. But it's a movie that exists in the world. And here's my bigger issue with what you're saying is, yeah, it was a cool thing when it was a myth. Right. When the Snyder Cut was just an online myth that fanboys knew about, it was something that they could always point to and say, that's why our thing isn't good. When because it's you know, DC and Marvel, it's, you know, we're wrestling fans, it's WWF versus WCW, you know what I mean? So despite the fact people are like, I like them both, well, you're the minority. Okay. Yeah, there's Marvel guys and there's DC guys, there's Elvis people and there's Beatles people. They're like, look, they can like them both but just not the same. And all the while, I'm a Marvel guy. We're over here being like, yeah, our stuff's better. Like Justice League came out either right before or right after Civil War. And I remember doing this fucking show being like, that's how you do a team up movie. You know what I mean? It's like we were gloating. It's like our hockey team won the fucking Stanley Cup. It's like, yeah, we got a better franchise over here. So for that DC group, having something mythical that doesn't actually exist in the world, like the elusive Snyder Cut, it was good for them to be able to point and say, that's why. That's why our thing isn't winning this race, because we were hobbled from the start. Now it's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And if it's literally not the greatest comic book movie ever created and ever will be created,
right,
it's impossible to live up to the hype and the myth that has been created around it.
It will kill any and all live action DC movies, right?
But also, where do they go from here? Because it's not like Affleck's coming back. It's
well,
not,
and that's the thing that they've all been saying. Like, there's been reports out of Hollywood where it's just like, this is stupid. It's stupid because they're using the term it's a cul-de-sac movie. And I was just like, I've never heard that term before.
That's a new one for me.
But then it makes a lot of sense because basically you come in and you turn around and you come out, and that's it. Because yeah, you're right. The plan was for this to be the franchise. This was going to be the DC version of the MCU, right? The DCEU. And so that was going to be the plan. And now, yeah, this movie could be the greatest movie ever, but it's like you've already burned all of the bridges with, you booted out the guy that played Cyborg and you don't like him, and you booted out Ben Affleck and you don't want to do anything with him.
Affleck left. Affleck had enough of this shit and was like, yeah, no, I'm good.
And then Wonder Woman 1984 sucked.
It's terrible.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah, so what do we have to look forward to? James Gunn's Suicide Squad 2? Like,
I mean, and here's the thing with that, because I mean, again, the Suicide Squad trailer looked great. And makes me kind of look forward to whatever he's doing with John Cena on that HBO Max show, which is connected to that somehow. But and I've said it about DC movies before, because we covered Suicide Squad, we've done Joker,
right?
The company, the DC Comics movie company, would have been better off not getting in the franchise game if they had just done a shit ton of one-off stories,
right?
You wouldn't have people like me being like, what are you doing?
Well, that's
because you're just making movies, and that's fine. But all the while, it seems like every step of the way you're trying to reboot a franchise that hasn't been working. So it's like you got like part of it still intact, and you got like Margot Robbie is still Harley Quinn, but somebody else is doing this, and then we got Joaquin Phoenix as Joker, and now fucking Leto's back as a Joker, but is he in Suicide Squad? I don't fucking know. And now because it's like, what are you gonna do?
Aquaman?
Like, I still haven't watched it.
Okay, so that was like part of the problem with Aquaman.
I honestly didn't have an interest in it because like every time I watch a DC movie, I get really like, why am I doing this? It's just, it's not.
They're half pregnant.
It's not good, and it's confusing because they're clearly trying to lead to something that's not going to happen.
Right. Well, because they don't want to copy Marvel.
We got 4 Flashes, 3 Batmans, 8 Jokers. What the fuck are you doing? Pick a lane. You're either doing one-off movies or you're doing a franchise, but pick a goddamn lane and sign people for 8 movies if you're going to do that.
Right.
Lock Affleck in if you're going to have Affleck play Batman. Lock him in for 8 fucking movies so he can't walk away. But no, we're just going to have him do 2 or 3 and then we'll figure it out from... No. That's how you're going to fuck shit up. Or just pay an exorbitant amount of money, which I'm sure they fucking cut him a great check for the reshoots.
Of course. But again, they're half pregnant, right? Because they don't want to copy what Marvel did, even though that's the blueprint and you should just do it, because even though you're going to get shit for it, right? Like, you're going to get shit for it either way, because the way you're doing it is...
First of all, internet.
First of all, internet. Second of all, the way you've been doing it is making you a laughingstock. Right? So you might as well copy the Marvel blueprint. And if your movies are good, nobody would care. Right? If you that's the most infuriating problem about all of this, is that at the end of the day, if you stack up all of the heroes and the characters, Marvel, DC, DC has the more iconic characters. Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, and The Flash are far more iconic than a billion-dollar franchise that was built off the back of Iron Man.
The B Squad. Yeah. I mean, it was historically the B Squad because Universal and Sony owned the A Squad.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was like, but yeah, and the thing is, the movies, when you do sit, it's kind of how I feel about the Star Wars sequels trilogy. When you sit and watch them one at a time, and if you're just sitting down for a few hours to watch a movie.
Sure.
They're not all bad.
Right.
Like, so we went back and watched Suicide Squad. It wasn't all bad. And the DC movies aren't all bad. The franchise is where the problem comes in, where it's like, you want me to start trying to connect fucking dots that aren't actually going to connect because everyone's going in different directions as soon as they call that's a wrap, and everyone scatters.
Right.
And they never come back.
Right. And
you know what I mean?
You don't have a plan.
It's basically like Armageddon. We covered Armageddon. So you know when the oil rig job was done and everyone scattered across the country, and then they had to go, they found Owen Wilson on a farm, and they found Michael Clark Duncan riding a Harley in Oklahoma, and they found Steve Buscemi in a strip club. That's the DC universe, only we don't have a Billy Bob Thornton that's pulling everybody back in. Because Billy Bob Thornton is fucking Kevin Feige of Marvel, who's pulling everybody back in, being like, no, you can't go, no Chris Evans, you can't go direct some fucking movie. We need you over here playing Captain America for 5 more fucking movies, and then you're done. Then you go fuck off and do indie movies for all you want. I don't care. But we want to tell your story, and we're going to tell your story, and we're going to pay you a shitload of fucking money, so when we're done with it, you can go make those decisions to go direct those fucking indie movies that you love so much. But we're going to get our shit in because we have a fucking franchise to keep together, because this franchise is supporting a goddamn house of mouse.
and we have a plan. We have a plan.
Like, who is the Kevin Feige of DC?
There is,
because I know Kevin Feige's name. I know Kathleen Kennedy's name, even though she doesn't make wonderful choices about Star Wars lately. But whatever.
Dave Filoni.
Put in Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and God bless.
First of all,
but I don't know
Jon
anybody.
Favreau should take up any franchise. That man is gold.
She should fucking steal him. Warner should steal him. They're getting that HBO Max money. Steal his ass.
Right. Oh, so you're telling me that
what they should honestly do, and if Peacemaker works, they probably will start doing that. It looks like they're grooming James Gunn as the Favreau of DC. They gave him Suicide Squad, and like, the trailer came out, and even like, it was right after the trailer. Oh, by the way, we're also doing a TV show. So they're already kind of giving him that Star Wars Mandalorian type of universe to expand upon. But what I would hope for them, because as a whole franchise, you would have to literally start over again.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like they're doing that, because I read somewhere that the Pattinson Batman has nothing to do with anything that we're going to know about. It's basically like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. It sounds like. Yeah. Which is fine. But that's what they should do. If they're going to do stuff like this, build like smaller universes that you can play in. Give him a smaller sandbox in a bigger playground to play on. Let James Gunn go do his fucked up Suicide Squad stuff, okay? And let let Snyder play in his fucking sandbox if he wants to. But you don't have to connect everything, because what it's going to do is cause threads that break.
Yes.
As I keep using many metaphors.
Right. Well, it's like, it's going to be it's just frustrating, because there has been no movie in the history of movies that has ever lived up to the hype, right? Like, there's no movie that everybody's The Godfather, but that's it.
No, I mean, I would argue Endgame did.
Okay, Endgame did.
I would like. There's movies that have lived up to the hype like that.
But
this
the
one
thing
is so.
This is different.
It's the amount of hype, and quite honestly, because even Endgame wasn't promoted like this. We all just knew it was coming out.
Right.
We all knew where they were going. This is like I said, like you said, every fucking day he's got a new goddamn tweet about another fucking. It's like, dude, just put the movie out. We know the story. We know who's in it. Like that's it's almost annoying to someone like me who hates spoilers, because it's like, I don't want to see all this stuff.
No, I don't.
Especially, I don't want to see it formatted for fucking Instagram.
Yeah, definitely not.
I got a 65-inch TV. I don't want to watch it in a box.
Yeah, 100%. So, we'll have to see. When is it releasing?
I don't know. A year?
Yeah, like that's the other thing.
I don't even know. March 18th it comes out. So literally a month from today, or a month from next week. I don't know. Whatever the fuck day it is. A month.
March? What time in March?
March 18th.
18th. Okay. So that's basically, March 19th we'll review.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, my thought was, and that's the bitch of it. It's like, it feels like this is taking forever to come out, because it's like, I would want to do a review of the theatrical Justice League and this one.
Yeah.
Let's do a compare and contrast. We did it with Ocean's 11. Of course, those were 50 years apart.
I know. We should. That should be the 19th. Yeah. Here's the deal. Tweet at me at the Eddie McCabe because I'm pretty sure HBO Max has the watch party like you can all watch it together feature. And so if it does, tweet at me at the Eddie McCabe or DM me if you want to be a part of it. And so that Thursday, the 18th, the day it comes out, that evening, I will watch it and we'll do a watch party
I might have to fucking join you for that one.
Yeah, so that's going to be the game.
I don't think I do one of my 18 podcasts on Thursday, so let's do that.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's just like the video's just synced up to everybody and there's a chat.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not.
I know Amazon Prime started it. Disney, I think, does. HBO Max has to do it.
Has to. So
they're so good.
Yeah, so we'll do that. There's a chat function, I think. So I'm looking at you on the screen right now, so I'm not 100% sure. But if it has that feature, we will do it. Otherwise, we'll use like Rabbit or something.
Awesome. And maybe since we have a month, we'll figure out how to put that on our Facebook Live or something like that. I don't fucking know.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We got a month to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because this movie isn't coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even though it should have come out a year ago.
Yeah. And it's also
they're just milking the fact that Black Widow isn't coming out. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't need to play with them. They're stalled.
And it's like, look, here's the thing. I didn't think that I thought WandaVision was going to be good. I thought it was going to be like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was going to be this good. So, if that makes sense.
So fucking good.
And so it's like every single time that I've ever heard that, like, oh, they're pushing Black Widow. Oh, they're pushing Black Widow. And my whole thing was like, well, yeah, like, what do I got? I have WandaVision to look forward to. And it's like, I don't know. And then WandaVision happens. It's like, oh, I get it now. And then it's just like, oh, this is just going to roll right into Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I was just looking it up because I think like maybe a week after WandaVision ends, it's Falcon Winter Soldier pops up. Let me see.
Yeah, and then in the time period between when Falcon and Winter Soldier ends and Loki starts, that's when Black Widow is supposed to come out, but it might get pushed again because they're still chasing a theatrical release.
Yeah, I know.
Which is tough.
March. Oh shit.
March 18th.
March 19th.
Oh God.
Fuck you, DC.
Oh man.
Oh, you're putting out that movie that a bunch of people already seen. Oh, that's cute. Here's a new series that everyone's already gonna love.
Yeah, here's a series that everybody's gonna love. So,
like, and they're all it's testing like. I don't know how they do these numbers, but like I saw a report that like the anticipation tests they were doing for Falcon Winter Soldier is like 200% higher than Mandalorian season 2. So it's like, yeah. It's like, I mean, you and I are going to have to now, because we already committed to it, watch Justice League that night. But most people are going to be like, I can wait till Sunday. Yeah. I got Falcon Winter Soldier on deck. I don't want to sully my taste buds with this shit.
I know. Jesus. They're just gonna get bitch slapped again. Yep. That's just what's going to happen.
Yep. By an hour. Your 4+ hour epic is gonna get bitch slapped by episode 1.
Yeah. It's going to be that 1 hour of television is going to be talked about far more than your 4-hour Odyssey epic fucking Spartacus movie. Like, God.
Oh God.
So
I mean, I hope it's good.
I hope it's all good.
Look, I hope for the best because I'm gonna have to sit and watch it for 4 fucking hours. Yeah,
right.
It's like you hope if you're gonna commit any amount of time to watching entertainment, you always hope it's going to be good. It's just they all can't be winners. Oh. Plain and simple. Oh. Before we get to our review. We called an audible on the review, by the way. So those of you looking for the shadow, sorry. Next week.
Yeah,
maybe.
Sorry that you're in. How long have we been talking?
Fucking 45 minutes, an hour in. By the way, we're doing People versus Larry Flynt because the pervert is dead. Yeah. But anyway, watch anything interesting this week?
No.
Okay.
No, I've been watching Doctor Who still.
Okay. So. The only thing I watched of note, I watched the Framing Britney Spears documentary on Hulu that everybody was talking about. And there's a lot of stuff that I already knew. It was just like, all right, I get it. But, okay, it doesn't seem... The biggest shock was that conservatorship thing was still going on. And it's like, she's like a real adult at this point. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's something about that seems wildly illegal, but I don't know enough about it. And she still seems to be okay. So, whatever. Anyway, the other one I watched that was hilariously nuts. I wish it was eye-opening, but again, I know way too many people that do this. Fake Famous on HBO Max.
Sure. I haven't seen it, but
it's all about people getting Instagram influencers.
Yeah, right.
But to the point that basically this documentarian wanted to create an influencer. So he took 3 people who had moderate to low Instagram followings and bought them influencership. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I know firsthand like 4 people that did exactly this.
Yeah, of course.
Like this is this is their job. And part of me is like, good for them. You know, if you gotta spend money to make money is the old adage.
The problem
is people believe in this stuff.
Right. It's really tough because when you look at like any social media following, you can pay to get the stuff. And that's what it is that, you know, my content hypothetically wouldn't change from, you know, today to tomorrow. Right. But if I had 100,000 more tweets, like followers on Twitter, it would reach more people. You know what I mean? Like it would be prioritized because it like tricks the algorithm or something. And then when people look at you, it's like, oh, this person has 100,000 followers. Oh, they must say important things.
And that's just it. And I mean, they went even deeper into it to basically they're fabricating lives. You know, like they're getting like Airbnbs in like, you know, California or something, and basically playing them off that each different room is like a different part of the world. Like one room, it's like, okay, we're gonna take this picture of the champagne, okay, and we're gonna tag it. You're in Paris. Sure. You know, shit like that. Like each room was a different vacation hotspot. They did the old trick of the toilet seat looking at a screen that's actually a plane window and stuff, and that whole deal.
Okay.
They showed one where apparently there's some photograph studio in LA that a part of it is set up like the cabin of a private airplane. So you can just rent it, and there's a screen on the side of the window that looks like the sky. So you just be like, I'm on a private jet. Here's some champagne, blah, blah, blah. But again, like for me watching it, I'm just like, there's a couple things I'm thinking. First of all, I don't believe anything I see on the internet because I've worked too long with these people. Right. I know enough of them. I've been to influencer events for food and stuff like that. I see how bullshit it is. The problem is there's people like, you know, like my mother who does believe in stuff like that she reads on the internet. It's like, did you see what so-and-so was doing? I was like, oh, let me explain for a second why you shouldn't be looking at that. You know what I mean? But then there's also
more people that hop a fence to take a picture next to a private jet than actually fly on the private jet.
100%. And then there's the other side of it. That's like I said, you got to spend money to make money. And if this is a business that you want, even though it's a fabrication, you can justify it mentally with it's a form of entertainment, if you will. And we're all playing make-believe at one time or another.
Yep. Playing make-believe that I'm happy.
Exactly. I mean, Jesus Christ, we're not this upbeat the whole fucking time, but a depressed hour and a half of movie talk is just depressing.
Yeah, right.
So I walked right into that one. But but it's like I can see that side of it where it's like, I've set a budget for myself, and I'm going to buy myself all this, you know, it's all fake. But eventually, like they showed with the one girl that actually it worked for, it was all fake until it wasn't. Like they were buying because what they're doing is they're not just buying followers because if you buy followers and there's no interaction, the algorithm picks up on that and it fucks you on that. So they're buying followers, they're buying likes, and they're buying comments, and it's all botted. You know, it's all fucking make believe, but they're buying it, and it's growing and growing, and she's growing and growing. It's all fake growing, but it's growing nonetheless. And then all of a sudden, someone bites in real life, and it's like all of a sudden these companies think it's real. And you run her. There's softwares and stuff that you can check the validity of accounts, and hers was like he ran it through, and the director even said, "It's like I'm fucking surprised right now, but it says that she's 90% real," which he knows because he's buying it that she's not. So even those are fucked up, and he's like, maybe these are even botted, and even those you can buy and manipulate. But eventually, what happened was her influence became real and it started growing organically because of the fake shit. She got herself to a point that she created enough of a mask around herself that people believed it was real. So then real people start following and commenting, and all of a sudden it becomes real. Right. And now she's an actual influencer with almost 400,000. I actually looked at her Instagram last night after watching the show. She's got almost 400,000 followers and a real retention rate of all the interactions. And it's like, okay, so you picked a career for yourself. It was Instagram influencer, and you committed to it. I mean, granted, the documentarian committed to it. He committed the money to it, but that's what budgets are for. Sure. And you committed to building your brand in this way, and now it is a brand, and now you are a thing. And that's the weirdest part to me, because it wasn't like these three people were the only ones. Like there's that infamous, I guess it's infamous. I don't fucking know. I never heard of it till this documentary, but the pink wall in LA that every Instagrammer, I guess, has to fucking go to. And they're like, these people are on an Instagram vacation from Milan. And it's like, they did what now? Yeah, right. They're just going to Instagram spots. You know, we've all seen the pictures. I think it might be Nashville or something with the wings. The wings. Yeah. Same fucking deal.
The Magic Kingdom purple wall.
The purple wall. Or I'm in a group, a Disney World group. Apparently there's a dick sculpture in Epcot somewhere.
Yeah, there is.
Great. I think it's in Morocco. Like all those things are like Instagram spots. But like it's maddening to someone like me and yourself, who are like content creators that
are trying
and want to. It's kind of like what I've been doing with TikTok. How I've been weekly been fucking around with TikTok and literally just making the worst videos I can, the laziest videos more than anything else, and watching it grow. And I'm like, it angers me because the stuff I really care about and the stuff I'm really putting effort into, it's easier to fucking fake it.
Yeah.
Well, if I wanted, I could just buy all the fucking YouTube followers I wanted.
Well, that's the big thing is that we've gotten to this point where organic growth on all of these apps doesn't really exist. You know, because you look at like even this show, right? Like if we put money behind it to do pre-roll ads, you know, it's like we could have an advertisement before people watch the Justice League trailer. Right. You know, it's like, but that costs money now, you know, and it's just like that's kind of the tough part about growing on this. We've missed, like, not like this show, but like in general, like we've all missed the boat on the organic viral of,
because it doesn't exist anymore.
Because it doesn't exist anymore. It's just like, yeah, you can't be discovered on Instagram anymore. Right, because of the way that the algorithm works.
And everybody's on it.
And so the same thing to go with Twitter, right? Like, no, you can't be discovered on Twitter anymore.
Twitter of all of them personally feels almost dead at this point.
Oh, it feels absolutely dead.
Like I will still just copy and paste my posts because I'm OCD about putting it everywhere. Right. But like, I don't care. Like my notifications on Twitter are off. You know, I will check it once a day, or if it's on my computer, I'll look at it. But it's like it's the least cared about Instagram. Yeah. At least cared about social media, which is also good that I just have them all the same. The same with you. It's like Mike Wendt, Eddie McCabe, the Eddie McCabe, anywhere.
Yeah, right. Just everywhere. It's so much easier. But it's like you look at those, and it's like, yeah, Twitter feels dead. I'm getting actually like on my stuff on Facebook. Facebook does really well. I think Facebook, probably out of all of them, has the best in terms of the discoverability of like posting stuff without even having.
Even that is weird, and you can definitely tell because again, the bitch of it is the social media sites want you to use their thing first. Yeah. Like so, like I'll notice that like. If I do something within Facebook, either it's a Facebook video or a photo on Facebook, as long as the people don't have to leave Facebook, it does very well. But if I post a YouTube video to Facebook, it does nothing. If I post a link to a site outside of Facebook, it does nothing. So it's like Facebook is really proprietary, and they if you're trying to get people to leave Facebook, they are going to like push that post down, for lack of a better term.
Right.
And the fact that I have to spend brain energy figuring that shit out.
Oh, yeah.
My God. Somebody pay me.
Right, 100%.
Somebody pay me so I can stop thinking about all this shit.
Right, it's so weird, and ultimately, it's all bullshit.
It is all bullshit. But wow, that was a mini review, I guess, on Fake Famous. It's worth a watch. And it's quick. I think it's like an hour and 20 something, so it's not a bad watch.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, you ready?
Let's do it.
Larry Flynt.
You got a real naked woman there, okay? A beautiful girl.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn.
Just shoot her.
There's a new, darker influence in Cincinnati.
If you don't like Hustler magazine, don't read it. I don't. We're breaking taboos.
How about a 50-year-old centerfold?
How about the Wizard of Oz?
Hustler depicts Santa Claus in a lewd and shameful manner.
Decent people are being corrupted.
Ohio Governor Jim Rhodes was spotted buying the infamous Jackie O issue.
God Almighty will judge you.
It was your intention to hold Reverend Falwell out to be a hypocrite.
Well, that's what he is.
You have a strong civil liberties case on your hands.
Are you ashamed to have your husband locked up?
I'd rather have a man that stands up for what he believes in.
You're so beautiful. All I do is publish a magazine. If you break moral laws, you reap the whirlwind. Hallelujah! Mr. Flint, is that an American flag you have on that? If you're gonna treat me like a baby, I'm gonna act like one.
You're just taking this too far now.
I've just closed my eyes again. Climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train.
Unpopular speech is absolutely vital to the health of our nation.
Ooh, Dreamweaver.
I'm not trying to convince you that you should like what Larry Flynt does. I don't like what Larry Flynt does. But what I do like is that I live in a country where you and I can make that decision for ourselves.
I believe we can reach the morning
If you get on that plane, I quit.
You don't want to quit me. I'm your dream client. I'm the most fun. I'm rich, and I'm always in trouble.
I don't know what it is about the post-wheelchair voice that Woody Harrelson did in this movie.
Yeah.
But ever since the first time I watched this movie, I've always, like, when I'm alone, I talk to myself so I don't seem like a crazy person to other people. So I'm just kind of peeling back that curtain and showing the little man behind the great and powerful Oz in this moment.
Sure.
But one of the things, I'll randomly yell out movie lines, and one of the things I've always just randomly pops in my head, the pervert is back. And it's just, I don't know why, but that scene where he comes into the office and makes the poor secretary announce over the loudspeaker that the pervert is back always tickled me. And I'm just like, I'll be walking around making dinner or something. Pervert is back. And I was like, oh, and now the pervert is dead. And if you haven't figured it out yet, yes, that's why we're doing the People versus Larry Flynt. Larry Flynt passed away this past week. So we called an audible on The Shadow. The Shadow will be next week's movie. But yeah, it was announced or whatever. It came out last week that Larry Flynt passed away. And one of those guys that I guess I knew he wasn't already dead, but kind of I wasn't 100% when I saw him. Like I had to fact check the articles when I first saw him pop up online. I'm like, wait a minute. And then when I realized it was like an obvious audible that we had to call on this one.
Yeah, it was one of those where it's like, oh, if it's like, what is it?
Larry King was one of them. It's like, Larry King recently died too, and it's like, are you sure recently?
Yeah,
because every year we get the rest in peace Gene Wilder, and he's been dead for 20 years.
Yeah, right. That's the one I was thinking of. Gene Wilder, Stan Lee for a while.
You know, and then there's people that just aren't. Like, I don't think Michael Caine's ever going to die.
Yeah. No.
But people rest in peace with him all the time.
He's one of those weird ones. He's one of those weird ones too, where it's like you never you know who he is, but you don't remember him until he's brought up. Like
Michael Caine?
No, Larry Flynt.
Oh, yeah. Especially, well, he's not a this generation type of guy because he made his fame and his money in magazines.
Right.
Who the fuck buys a magazine?
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing is like even Playboy and Hustler missed me because like when I became of the age, the internet Like, why would I?
Sure.
Why would I go and try?
I mean, I was still a kid in the 80s,
right?
So I definitely had Playboys and stuff. I knew of the Hustlers and stuff, and to the point that you knew like Playboy was like
high class.
Well, not high class. It was. I mean, they even reference it in the movie when he's going to print off the first run of it, and the guy goes, "You need words in it like Playboy does. You can't just have pictures. That's illegal. You have to have some words and context to it." But so yeah, Playboy was like the most acceptable. Let's go that way.
Sure.
The most acceptable. And then I believe Penthouse was second.
Sure.
And then Hustler. And then you start digging deep into the swanks of the world.
Sure. Yeah.
Look, I was a kid in the 80s. Okay. I was a adolescent boy in the 80s. We knew our porn. You had to, because you couldn't just type porn into Google.
Yeah, we could. So that's,
What am I going to look at today? I don't know. Boobies. Let's start there. We had to find
the weirdest shit I could possibly find on the internet.
We had to go shoplift our porn or hope there was a creep behind the counter at the gas station.
There is a meme that I've seen, and it's a cartoon animation of this guy at a computer, and it's him like looking disgusted, and it was just like, oh my God, who would be into that? And then the next panel is, shit, I'm into that.
I typed that in.
I'm into that.
Let's be honest. If you look at something online, there's probably a reason you got there. Nobody forces you to look at shit.
Yeah.
And I purchased the Serbian film. And I have questioned my life for about a week and a half now as I stare at that fucking Blu-ray. Not only did I get it, why did I need to get it in 4K?
Yeah. I don't think the movie was made in 4K.
Well, we'll find out. One of these weeks, you're going to have a Sophie's Choice moment where it's either the Serbian film or Dice.
And on that day, that movie show will end. It'll be that ended show.
An ended show. Well, that's not this week. This week we did The People versus Larry Flynt. It came out October 13th, 1996. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That was the New York Film Festival when it was released. It actually got a theatrical release on Christmas Day, 1996. What a lovely Christmas movie. See,
fun.
The People versus Larry Flynt is a Christmas movie.
It is.
Somehow. Okay, it had a budget of $35 million, and it didn't make a lot at the box office. Only $43 million, which is kind of surprising for 96, because it had a lot of people attached to it.
Sure.
It was starring Woody Harrelson, Courtney Love, Edward Norton. It was produced by Oliver Stone. It was written by Larry...
The farmer from Babe.
Car as Whiskey. And Scott Alexander.
Car as Whiskey.
I'm going with Car as Whiskey. And of course, directed by Oscar winner Milos Forman. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's. It had people like this should have made money based on those names.
Yeah, this was an Oscar bait movie.
100%. But yeah, just didn't make money. It did well at award season. It got nominated for a bunch of stuff. This was also that weird, very small but weird time where Courtney Love was a really good actress.
Yeah.
It was so small. It was like 96 to like, I don't know, 7 months later.
Yeah, right. Yeah. She did like a movie and a half.
Yeah, like she did this. And then she showed up in like 3 other movies I remember coming out within that year, and then went back off the rails.
Yes.
It was like we did a bunch of cool stuff. Like I think she dated Ed Norton during this. Like that was popular for a time being. But it was like this, A Man on the Moon. She was good in.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was like it was that time frame, and then all of a sudden, she's drunk throwing shit at Madonna at the MTV Awards. It's like, oh, our Courtney's back.
Oh, she's back.
Oh, and she decided to not wear panties again. God bless her.
Yeah, right.
I love live television. But she was excellent in it. This she was really good in this. And again, it's a weird time for Woody Harrelson too. Like people know again. if you didn't grow up before Woody Harrelson was a movie star.
Yeah, he was Cheers.
He was Cheers. And then all of a sudden, like the first thing he really did was Natural Born Killers. That surprised Now you look back and it's like Natural Born Killers has been around for what, 25 years now? Almost 30 years or something like that. And people just know it. But in 94, here's a Natural Born Killers story, a real one. My mother and my brother went to go see Natural Born Killers in the theater because she is a huge Cheers fan. And the review, it was one of those small newspaper reviews. Those were a thing. And it said violently hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, she sees hilarious. She sees Woody from Cheers. Why the hell not? We're going to the movies. She left before the opening scene was done.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not, no.
This is not what I wanted.
No. But yeah, so Woody Harrelson like became a movie star, mostly because of Oliver Stone. I mean, he produced this one and he directed Natural Born Killers. And he's really good in this.
He is really good in this.
He's super good in this.
I was very underwhelmed with the movie as a whole. Just because it was tough because it was only like a 90-minute watch.
Yep. And
I think that this was like the second time I've seen this movie. And it was just like, oh, you just kind of see snapshots into this guy.
Right.
And he makes that weird character shift after he gets put in the wheelchair.
Right.
And it's like, it's really jarring in the last third of the movie, just about.
So one of the things I thought about this, why I think you probably felt that way, is Larry Flynt himself was highly involved. Not only was he had a cameo as the judge in one of the scenes,
right.
But he was like on set for the whole thing. Like he was very like hands-on about this story. And watching it, I think this was the first time I kind of came to this realization because I've never watched it with that critical eye type of thing.
Right.
This wasn't so much the life story of Larry Flynt, even though that's what it's sold as. This was Larry Flynt's love letter to Althea, his ex-wife.
Yes,
like,
it was.
That's the major plot of this whole movie is her destruction of her, basically.
Yeah.
And how much he loved her. Even to the point that there on the DVD, there's a half-hour documentary, which is actually really good. It was narrated by Dennis Hopper, which was really cool. Like all of a sudden the voice starts. I'm like, fuck me, that's Dennis Hopper. Like, wow, good call. Nice. Yeah. But Larry Flynt's in it. And he had a quote in that documentary where he says, no matter how many wives you had, because she was his fourth, and I don't know how many he's had since.
Okay.
But he said, no matter how many wives you have in your life, you only have one true love, and Althea was mine. And it was when she said that, I'm like, this movie makes so much more sense now.
Yeah. Now that you put it that way,
because the snippets are all her parts.
Right. She's the through line through all of this, because it's just like, oh, like I remember him being a big proponent of like the free speech and like how the Supreme Court case and like how that ends up like affecting like a lot of things.
Yep.
And I expected it to be more of a, you know, because again, I probably watched it in the like mid 2000s was like the first time I saw it. And so I was like, I thought it would be more, and I remember all the court stuff where it's just like, oh, it should be more about the like the actual court cases.
Right.
And then it's not that at all. It's about her, you know, it's about her mostly, and, you know, his relationship with her and how it like influenced him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, oh yeah, I guess
through that lens of it, it starts to make a lot more sense as a movie, because if you're looking at it as the life story of Larry Flynt, it's like, this is fucking bonkers. This makes no sense.
Right.
It's you know, more of like a dramatic Saturday Night Live sketch. You know? Yeah. It's like we're all over the place here.
Yeah.
Which to the point of it, like, yeah, there was a lot of stuff when you go back and fact check it that a lot of that shit was word for word and beat for beat and t-shirt for t-shirt.
Yeah, sure.
The you know, the two famous ones where he went to court in one of the t-shirts said, "I want to be black," or "I wish I was black." Yeah. And then the other one is "fuck this court." Yeah. And all of them ripped. Like, you can find, go just Google pictures of Larry Flynt and you'll find pictures of him in court with those, or at least outside the court with those shirts on. Same with the fashioning the American flag as a diaper bit, coming in with a war helmet on and stuff like that, and a flak jacket and all that shit.
Sure.
You know, the strippers coming in and dumping bags of $1 bills. Like all this was, it's like you'd think like, okay, they're fucking with the facts for art type of thing. You know, we're changed. Which no, they're really not. And even one of the cooler things that isn't, you know, scandalous or over the top, the closing arguments that Edward Norton did at the end with the Supreme Court was literally word for word what the lawyer said.
Yeah.
Like there was parts of it. And I think probably a lot of it has to do with Larry Flynt being so hands-on that they were trying to get things right. It reminded me a lot, which we also covered this one, was Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Right.
Because Hunter Thompson was very hands-on with that movie. And for him, a lot of the stuff was more visual. Like he wanted to make, like he had to approve, like even like necklaces and stuff. Like I remember, because that has another one. If you get the Criterion disc of Fear and Loathing, which is amazing, has a lot of like behind the scenes documentaries, including him shaving Johnny Depp's head with a miner's light on.
Yeah,
fucking
right.
Bananas shit like that.
Bonkers.
But like the little stuff is what I kind of nitpick, and I find, and like him making sure that the replica of Dr. Gonzo's necklace was like accurate because he has the original type of thing. Yeah. And he's like, okay, that's fine. Give me mine back type of thing.
Yeah, right.
So I feel that when you have the subject of a wildlife story that's acceptable to be hands-on and really like I'm an open book type, which again, Larry Flynt led the life in the public. It wasn't like he was shy about his lifestyle. Yeah, you know, much like Hunter Thompson wasn't shy about who he was. So when you get that firsthand knowledge, I always find these movies do a hell of a lot better, or at least in that respect.
Right, 100%. And I think it was a fine movie. I don't think that this is like essential viewing.
Mm-hmm.
No,
absolutely not.
Because like I don't know, I was underwhelmed, I guess. I thought that his relationship with his wife was the most interesting part, and that makes the most sense.
Sure.
But it was just like, oh, I wish that it was more about the other stuff. I completely forgot he was in a wheelchair. I completely forgot that was a thing.
And yeah, and the stuff that like, again, it's like knowing that like, at least having my opinion that this was more a love story to Althea than the Larry Flynt story.
Right.
That's where a lot of the stuff that I would like to see more of kind of is like, oh, well, she wasn't part of it. Like the John DeLorean FBI stuff, which they actually use the actual footage that Larry Flynt provided in the movie. But it's like, first of all, random Norm Macdonald appearance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, random Norm Macdonald.
But it's like, that led to just the wild shenanigans in the courtroom because he wouldn't give up his source of the John DeLorean tape. But it's like, I would have liked to see a little bit more of that and maybe how he actually got the tape, because he knows and he's, that stuff. But understandably, a lot of shit has to be dumped for the sake of time. I mean, you said it's actually a 130-minute movie.
Oh, yeah.
It did feel a little bit quicker than your average movie, but I think that's also because they were abbreviating so much of the stuff. It's like they were just moving.
Oh, they were. It was stick and move. Especially
stuff that like might have mattered but didn't matter, like the fact that his killer was never found. They didn't give a shit who the fuck the killer was. He was just some weirdo you saw twice, he shot him and was never seen again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, we don't need a half an hour backstory on this guy preparing his gun and shit. He's not Oswald, okay?
Yeah, right.
He's a guy that no one knows who he is.
Yeah, he just got shot and he doesn't. Yeah. But that's the type of thing where it's like, we just kind of moved. It felt like we were trying to tell a story, but it was based on a short story, and we didn't really fill in the meat of that story, where it was just like, oh yeah, we know this happened, and then we know that happened, and we know that we're gonna get to the court case, and then we're gonna like freeze frame montage at the end, and that's gonna be about it. And it's like, oh, I guess we'll fill in the details later, but we don't have a full 2-hour movie.
Like even the fact that like there's a chunk of a whole chunk of the movie was cut out because Larry Flynt ran for president.
Oh, see, yeah.
And there's some of the footage on the DVD, but not all of it, obviously. But that was like a whole chunk of time that was like, I want to say in late 80s, maybe. early 90s, something around there. Because Althea was definitely in parts of that, the parts of the footage I saw, so it must have been like late 80s. But even the fact that, like, you know, her whole involvement in the magazine and they started. Oh, okay. So here's the story. So she had him start a whole second magazine dedicated to like the punk rock movement and stuff like that. And then he had to shutter that in order to pay for his political campaign, the presidency campaign. And again, you hear that story and it's like, well, we just kind of lived that for the last 4 years. I would like to see that fucking story play out.
Yeah, right.
You know? But understandably, you got to take stuff out in order to make, you know,
a cohesive movie, quote unquote.
It out of all the stuff, it probably was the least interesting.
Probably.
You know, it's like, okay, he was running for president. Okay, fine. Do we really need that stuff? Is he in a diaper? Is she high on? No. Okay, well, fucking, let's just move on.
Yeah.
That's a skippable moment.
It's a skippable moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have liked to have seen, and in hindsight, I think the movie that I would have liked to have seen is obviously not in terms of quality, but in terms of story structure, is the like Citizen Kane of porn. Like, I think that would be pretty fun, because I got major Citizen Kane vibes when he got out of prison and like had the like advocates for free press speech.
Yep. Yeah.
Where it was just like, first of all, very powerful, and that hits a lot of my censorship bones, because I wholeheartedly agree with Larry on the whole idea of, and I think Edward Norton makes the case where it's just like, you need to have personal responsibility as to whether or not you want to look at this, or you know what I mean? Right. Like, it's not my responsibility to do that. Right. I heard somebody say this, and it kind of stuck with me a couple of days ago, where it was just like, because there's a lot of stuff where it comes with like the argument of abortion and stuff like that, where it's just like, look, here's the thing. Just because your religion says that doesn't mean that I have to live by that. That's the whole point of the separation of church and state. And like, that's exactly what this kind of First Amendment sort of situation comes in, is just like, look, man, like, if you don't want to read Hustler, don't read Hustler, you know, but don't give me that bullshit about, oh, what about the children?
Well, and there's a lot of parallels you can draw with everything happening recently, the whole cancel culture, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, you know, and it's funny because there's no straight line for any of these arguments.
Right.
Everything's a wavy on a scale type of argument. But you look at stuff like the one that always stuck out to me in the recent wave of cancel culture was the Golden Girls episode.
Yeah. Okay.
They were in mud masks, and they got that episode got pulled from Hulu because it looked like blackface.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that episode has been around for like probably 40 years, I'm estimating.
Sure.
Now we're upset about it?
Yeah, right.
It's like,
yeah,
it's there. And almost like the Disney approach or WWE has done it with Chris Benoit. That approach, it's like, we're not celebrating this, but it's here. Like Disney on their platform has all the sensitivity warnings. It's like, this was made in a different time and it reflects blah, blah, blah. And it might be sensitive and blah, blah, blah. You can put all the warnings you want on it, but removing my ability to make a choice to watch it is what I don't like.
Right, 100%.
It was like when Disney Plus was coming out, one of the articles that pissed me off was they were going to edit out the crows out of Dumbo.
Right, I remember.
And I'm like, why?
Right.
Why? I understand what they represent, and I understand that that's really not cool.
Right.
But I can also understand that I'm not a parent, but I'm a person who has free will to watch it or not watch it and process it or not process it however I want to. And my brother's a parent. He has Disney Plus. I'm seeing a lot of this through his eyes because a lot of the stuff we grew up on isn't appropriate anymore. It's just not. It's a weird thing to say because I still see it as a non-parent through my eyes, being like, what? It's fucking, you know, it's fine. And he's like, no, dude, it's not appropriate, because he's not only a parent, he's also a teacher. So he's got the double whammy of needing to know what is appropriate for current generations. And I just don't have that brain function because I don't need to. I work in entertainment and I'm not a parent. Like my brain's all over the fucking place.
Yeah,
and
right.
That's just how I am. So when I see stuff like that scene where they got arrested, I think you're referencing him and Crispin Glover got arrested for buying up a hustler at some convenience store, and they made a big thing about it.
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, they're absolutely right. Like nobody's putting a gun to your head saying, "Look at this porn."
Right.
It's like we said earlier about porn. It's like if you're looking at some weird shit on the internet, it's because you're looking at some weird shit on the internet. Nobody's coming into your house being like, "Hang on a second. Let me pull this really graphic image up on you." It's like nobody's forcing you to see that.
The only time that happens is when 2 Girls, 1 Cup comes around and everybody wants to just gross out their friends.
And the funny thing is that even that reference, I bet there's a whole generation of people that don't get that fucking thing anymore. Like, because stuff moves. It's like
it moves so fast. Look, so here's the thing.
I don't want to see fucking Rick Astley one more time.
I fucking love Rick Astley, and I'll see him anytime.
You're forcing me to be Rickrolled.
But the flip side to this is like, okay, so there's been you're gonna learn a lot about me right now,
sure,
audience. So I have a bunch of friends that work in the adult entertainment industry, and they have been dealing with a lot of different things, and most recently, due to some legislation that was passed, they actually just took down off of Pornhub a ton of content.
Okay.
Like, because it didn't work with like how Visa and MasterCard were like basically funding, like accepting the payments of it. Like it was like a whole thing. And it's like, that's the type of shit that annoys the hell out of me. Right. Because, and it's kind of what the Larry Flynt argument is throughout this entire movie and through his entire life, where it's just like, as long as it is consenting adults, who cares?
Right.
Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't be able to dictate what is morally correct for me.
Now, not devil's advocate, but just a kind of a twist on it. And it's an unfortunate thing because you mentioned Pornhub and it got me thinking about Facebook and all the other, mediums. At the very least, like Larry had the ability to create his own content and publish and distribute his own content. Us as content creators now, like your friends you mentioned on Pornhub, or just us, like tomorrow, YouTube, Facebook, every podcast platform that this show is on could decide tomorrow that it's not acceptable or whatever the fuck.
Yes, right.
And take it down. And we don't have a leg to stand on because they own it. It's the argument's been being made recently because of Facebook and Donald Trump being banned from every social media, et cetera, et cetera. They're censoring, and I'm sitting there like, oh, you're going to make me really go on a side that I don't want to go on, but I have to explain to these people that it's like, they can do that. It's not censorship. That they own the platform.
Right. That's the thing.
You have no rights to the platform. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if tomorrow my fucking YouTube channel got shut down, I'd be sad as shit. And then I'd have to find another way to distribute my content because I don't own a network or a social media network or a radio station. I don't own any of that shit. So I have to rely on others to distribute my shit. He had the advantage, if you will, because it was a different age and the internet didn't exist. So back in those days, you had to make these types of moves and bet on yourself, for lack of a better term, to get ahead. And he obviously did. And I mean, the funny thing is what people don't realize about Larry Flynt is he owned and ran more than just Hustler. I mean, I think at the end he had like 37 magazines
something like that
he published.
That's why it's not Hustler. Like you look at the building, right? When they like show it in LA, and it's Larry Flynt Publications. It's not Hustler magazine, right? It's not the Hustler building. But yeah, you're 100% right when you're talking about these sorts of platforms. They've become commonplace, right? Like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
We get comfortable with them.
Yeah, we get comfortable with it, but you don't realize that it's like, all of these are private companies, right? It's like going into Walmart or Target or any of these other things. It's kind of like how people take television, like cable television, for granted, where it's like, oh, I can just turn on the TV and watch something and it is free television. And it's like, well, it's not really. you pay a company to allow you to watch this, and yeah, could you get a rabbit ears or like digital rabbit ears at this point to like get 4, 5, and 7? Sure. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure you can. But if you want anything,
but I want Nesson too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I want Nesson, so I got to pay for it.
Tell me, and like fucking YouTube Plus dumped Nesson back in October. So me having to find an alternative way to watch the Bruins this year has been a pain in the balls.
Well, and this was the conversation that I had with several of my friends, where it was just like, look, sure, like you're on here promoting this site, or you're promoting this content, right, and they're not allowing you to do that. Right. Well, you need to now create. You can create the website. You can create the means, like you have the distribution. Right. It takes more effort. Yes, of course, having your own personal channel on Pornhub where literally everything is already taken care for you.
Super easy,
and it's very simple. But that's the problem, is now you're playing in their yard, right? As opposed to what Larry Flynt was doing, where he was creating his own thing. He was creating his own magazine and distributing his own magazine. And so it's like, that's where it gets weird, because like the big one is Parler, right? Parler getting taken down. And it's like,
yeah, I made a Parler troll post back when it first happened. Oh, it was so much fun to read those comments.
I bet. And it's like, I'm in such a conflicted crossroads, right? Because that place is dangerous. Right? Like,
I mean, does it exist still?
No, it does not exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
Because Amazon took it down, and
everybody did.
Everybody took it down, right? Like they deplatformed it on their app stores is what happened. Right. And so it's that same thing where it's just like when you're having to rely on Apple and Amazon to get it onto phones, that's what happens. And it's like, look, here's the thing. It's dangerous. A group of people went onto that application, all got together, and then stormed the Capitol building. You know, that's dangerous. Sure. That is absolutely dangerous. Sure. That's some dark web shit, okay? And so it's like on that end, it's like, yeah, that needs to fucking go. But on the same time, it's just like, oh, I don't like that.
Okay, so just to stop you on there for a second. Because I feel almost the same way, because it's like, it doesn't have to go, but
right,
Google and Apple don't have to put it on their platform. If you want to go play, like that's the whole thing. It's like you said, the sandbox scenario. It's like Parler set up their sandbox. If you want to go play in their sandbox, that's great, but it's very small.
Right.
And your sandbox is not going to be allowed. You're not going to be able to leave that sandbox with this toy. That toy has to stay in this one little sandbox, which is their own little website. And it's like it's the freedom of speech thing. It's like that's been muddied as fuck when it comes to Facebook. Because it's like freedom of speech means you can say anything you want. Yes, but there's also consequences.
It protects you from the government. It doesn't protect me from you.
Exactly. There are consequences, and that doesn't apply. And when I say speak, I mean actually verbally speak, not even to what we're doing, because this podcast is on Facebook, YouTube, other podcast platforms. I mean, step outside your home and say words. That is freedom of speech. Now, that also comes with a consequence, because you can't just, like you said, you made the Walmart reference. You can't, it's the old, you can't yell fire in a movie theater.
Right.
It's like illegal, I think.
Yeah.
Or something. It's the same scenario. If you walk into a place, by all means, say something, but they have the right, because they're a privately owned business, to throw you the fuck out. And that's not censorship. That is their store policy.
Right.
Their policy doesn't apply to you coming in and spouting off bullshit. Like, like it's why. And again, I never claimed to be the smartest fucking person. And which angers me that I have to explain this shit to people.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, why am I explaining freedom of speech to you? Like, you don't, like, typing into Facebook has the right to disallow that. Like I said, it would suck because we've spent 3 years building this, but tomorrow they could decide that we don't want your show on this anymore.
Yeah. The big one is, and I was going to try to avoid this at all costs watching this movie, but the Gina Carano stuff. right? Gina Carano, actress in The Mandalorian, was released from her contract on The Mandalorian because of posts she made on Instagram. Yes. Now, for those of you who don't know what happened, she's the lady in The Mandalorian, and she went online and said that being a conservative in today's America is akin to being a Jew in Holocaust. I mean, in World War II Germany, right? And it was more complicated than that. So if anybody starts coming at me in the comments, I know it was more complicated. That's the SparkNote version.
Also, this wasn't the first time.
This wasn't the first time. She starts spouting off stuff, right? And the people that get offended by that are fine. I mean, she has had a long history of talking about trans athletes in combat sports. Okay. Right. And we are not having that conversation at all.
I have no frame of reference because I didn't know that was a topic.
Yeah. So that's where all of her nonsense starts. So she's been in issue with that. And now she does this. And basically,
I always just knew she was outspoken and that her views didn't jive with a lot of other people's views.
Yeah, well, that's the SparkNotes version of it.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do here.
That's the SparkNotes version. Yeah. But the thing is that the company of Disney, company
take over Cliff.
What?
What's SparkNotes? I know Cliff Notes.
Oh, I don't remember. SparkNotes. Spark and Cliff Notes. I think they're the same thing.
Did Spark kill Cliff? What happened?
I think so. I think Spark killed Cliff. But basically,
who is Cliff and where is his notes?
for Disney to look at that situation and go, you know what? I no longer want to deal with this person, right? I always bring up to the Tim Tebow equivalent. Okay. So Tim Tebow was a quarterback in the NFL, and he was a very weird anomaly of a quarterback in the NFL because he wasn't very good, but he always made plays and won. And so he had this crazy weird fan base that kind of followed him. Okay. Right. And so by the end, he was on the Patriots and his last team was the Patriots. Jesus. But basically what ended up,
we had Tom Brady. We didn't need him.
What ended up happening was the talent of Tim Tebow did not outweigh the circus that came with him. Gotcha. Right. Everybody cared about him and wanted to know what he was doing and talking about him. And it's oh, you're a major distraction for being the third quarterback on this team. Gotcha. And so we're not going to have you on this football team because it's not worth it. Gotcha. You being on this team is not worth it. And so it's that same sort of thing where it's look, lady, you can keep saying all of this stuff, but it's we get a ton of shit for it every single time that you say it. And we just can't do business with you anymore. But then the problem that I have with the cancel culture aspect of it is how people want to pick and choose, right? The one that I bring up in this instance is J.K. Rowling, right? J.K. Rowling is...
Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Harry Potter.
Gotcha.
She's the author of Harry Potter. And
I know she said some interesting things too.
So she also hates trans people, right? Very outspoken about trans people. And the problem is that people then want to twist themselves into a knot by saying don't support her, don't support anything that she does. She's terrible and she needs to go away. But then Harry Potter is my entire identity. And it's here's the thing, guys, you can't twist yourself into this weird pretzel because it's either okay or it's not okay. Either all needs. Oh, here's for the most part is yeah.
And again, I agree with a lot of that. But there are, I don't know. I'm someone who has always been able to separate the person from the art.
Sure.
I understand that the things he said, the things he did, and probably him as a human being, Mel Gibson ain't a great dude.
Right.
But I watched the Lethal Weapon series just a couple nights ago. It's still a great fucking series of movies. He's still one of my favorite actors. But I probably wouldn't like him as a person and his views as a person. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it goes to the point of again, everything that happened with Harvey Weinstein was horrible.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to sit here and even try to defend an ounce of it, right?
Yeah, no.
But Pulp Fiction's my favorite movie of all time.
Right, 100%. And I guess the point is that like Disney's got to have a conversation with Gina Carano.
My assumption is they probably did, and that's why it happened. Because again, this wasn't the first time. This wasn't the first time, and my guess is they've probably had more than one cut the shit conversation with her.
Right.
And it was with her because the fact that like I know that the quote unquote hashtag fire Gina Carano thing has been a thing since like before the first season of The Mandalorian. Like they were people being like, you're gonna put her on the show, boom. Right. So that was before the show even started. So the fact that it got to this point, she feels very straw that broke the camel's back type of situation. Like we've slapped you on the wrist enough fucking times, dude.
Yeah, right.
We're rolling here. WandaVision's kicking ass. We don't want people bailing. We don't want sponsors bailing. It's a pandemic. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I think she was based around one of them. The
Rangers of the New Republic or whatever.
Pretty sure that was going to be her thing, which, you know what? My brother sent me a text when he read about it. I hope that's an opening to have Bill Burr star in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, sorry, you fucked up. And now we get Bill Burr. And I'm like, okay, great.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. That would be fantastic.
Because that was kind of teased, or them two having a connection at the end of Hit when he was walking off and she's giving a little look and a nod type of thing. It's like, okay, maybe we'll see him in that spinoff show. And now that she's not on that spinoff show, maybe we'll get all Bill Burr on that spinoff show. That'd be great for Bill Burr and for us.
It would be.
But yeah, so I think that's the problem with one of the problems with the whole cancel culture thing is that there's no rules to it.
Right.
And there's no rules, there's no checks and balances. It's completely on the whim and the prerogative of everyone. And like I said, the fact that she got so many, for lack of a better term, chances, tells you that they're like, well, all right, what she said wasn't awesome.
Yeah.
But maybe if let's talk to her. Okay, she seems to understand it this time. She seems to understand to calm the fuck down on Twitter this time. All right, let's roll with it because she's a major part of this new show that's like the tentpole of our fucking new streaming service. It's only a year old. Let's try to get it out. And then it's like, oh my God, it's the kid who keeps putting his goddamn hand on the stove. It's like, why are you burning yourself?
Yeah, right.
That's how I felt when it happened. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not surprised. Honestly, when it was like, oh, Gina Carano is no longer on Star Wars, it's like, yeah, well.
Yeah, well, you deserve
Who's to blame there? Who hit send knowing full well what your bosses had told you?
Yeah, well, and so the whole thing is just like.
But again, that doesn't mean she should lose the right to work. I've seen that a lot too. Well, she should basically the way cancel culture is a negative is basically if you don't agree with someone, they should be executed in a lot of these people's minds.
Right.
They should never be seen nor heard from again. They should be a straight up Milford man. It's Arrested Development. And like she has every right to go work. And you have every right to not support that and not go see the movie. That was her next move was like, well, fuck it. I got a movie coming out and I'm producing it and I'm my own boss. And that is your right. Like to go back to my Mel Gibson reference.
Yep.
For years, he did arguably some of his best work because the studios wouldn't allow him into movies. So much so that he was supposed to be, I forget the guy they replaced him with, but in The Hangover 2, when they're in the Bangkok tattoo shop, the guy that tattoos Ed Helms' face was originally Mel Gibson, and the cast staged a strike because he was at the point of like the next day they were filming with Mel Gibson.
Yeah, he was going to be there.
And they walked, and they had to recast the role. So there was a point in that where they just weren't working with him. Studios, actors, etc., were not working because of beliefs, and that's their right. But the fact that he was able to go and produce his own shit and then put out his own shit, like, that's his right too. And you can choose to, because every time it's like it's an annoying thing that I almost have to preface every time I talk about a Mel Gibson movie on Facebook to the point it's annoying now where it's like, look, I get it. You don't like him, and I'm not telling you should watch it, but I'm saying I watched Payback last night, and Payback's fucking amazing. You know what I mean? Plain and simple.
Right. Yeah. Like, no, you're 100% right. And again,
I'm not saying I believe all the stuff he said when he was arrested or all that stuff on those tapes that were leaked, because I was working on a morning show when those came out. And I had to listen to every one of them and beep every one of his swears, and that was a fucking job and a half. But Payback's a great movie.
Right. Well, and it kind of also, again, to circle it back around to the People versus Larry Flynt, is just like...
Please do. We gotta wrap this up.
Yeah. Is that the personal responsibility is gone. Right? Like
voluntarily,
that's...
people don't want it.
Right. It's like, that's the problem, is that it's like, you know, right, wrong, or indifferent, what Gina Carano did, you know, you need to decide whether or not watching The Mandalorian is now worth it to you.
Sure.
Right? Like that's at least my feeling when it comes to like the First Amendment and content and censorship in general.
And
right?
full disclosure, they did see a spike in cancellations right after it was announced that she was off the show. Like that did happen. It was almost like the news articles almost followed each other everywhere. It's like Gina Carano fired from Star Wars, massive cancellations on Disney Plus. So
I'll be perfectly honest. I'm really sad that she's no longer on the show.
Her character was great.
Yes.
And it was like, it was all the things you know, it's like, it was awesome. Like like it's a bummer. You know, it's a fucking bummer, man.
Right? But that doesn't mean that I now agreed with her Instagram story.
I think we talked about it. Like in the finale episode, because they had their big girl power moment where it was her, Katie Sackhoff, Sasha Banks, and God, I'm blanking on the other actress' name. But they all busted through the door, fucking shooting guns, being badasses. Yeah. And we kind of reference it's like, oh yeah, that's what they tried to do in Avengers Endgame, but this is much cooler. The way they did because it wasn't like, hang on a second, let's pause the action for the woman's moment. It's like it was natural in the story, and these are just badass women fucking with laser guns and they're kicking ass, and it's like, this is great. It's like, that was awesome. And now it's like, but she's a terrible person.
Yeah, but it's just like that's the problem, is that, you know, people want to have their cake and eat it too, right? Because it's, I don't like her, I don't like what she stands for, you know, she did X, Y, and Z, and now this whole other thing needs to fundamentally change, you know? And it's just like, oh, that's a slippery slope, man, that I don't...
It's people wanting... It's again, it's a tough...
Right.
There's no absolutes to it. But part of it is a very selfish way of thinking, because part of it is, I want you to make entertainment for me and only me.
Correct.
I mean, we've dealt with it a lot with wrestling culture, pro wrestling, because pro wrestling fans want wrestling made specifically for them, and not fans. One individual person is telling you why this show sucks because it's not booked for him, and it's like, it's the same thing with everything. Well, this Star Wars sucked because, and it's like, but that's your opinion. You can go make a fucking movie. You know what I mean? Go write a Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you got all the idea, you got all the answers, make your own goddamn movie.
Well, that's just it. It's like
they tried. That was a really funny thing. I don't know if you ever saw that. The people that tried to Patreon to remake The Last Jedi.
I missed that one.
Oh God, it was so funny. I'll see if I can find the Patreon. But basically, some assholes were like, "We're basically going to redo The Last Jedi because they screwed up so bad."
I've seen stuff like that, but in other things, you know, Jason movies or stuff like that. I remember the Friday the 13th one at the top of my head, and it's none of those things land with me because I've worked in TV too long, where I'm just you don't own the copyrights to that.
Yeah, you don't own any of this. You can't like just make a Star Wars movie.
You can't. First of all, okay, so there's if you want like a deep dive into how hard it is to make fan films, there's a kid on YouTube. He's got a massive following. His channel on YouTube is Star Wars Theory.
Okay.
He made, I was gonna say he made the best Star Wars fan film I have ever seen. It was it was a Vader. It's supposed to be a series. He put his own money into it. I think it cost him like $200,000, something like that. And he chronicles on his YouTube channel. Not only is the thing there because he did it the right way. Okay? Sure. He went through Lucasfilms. He got what he could approved and what he couldn't do approved. Like part of it was when he finally did it. One of the reasons I know the number of $200,000 because he had to spend his own money. He couldn't crowdfund. He couldn't get paid sponsorships because his YouTube channel is big enough that he was getting offers from sponsorships like, hey, make sure this guy wears Adidas or whatever the fuck and we'll pay for the whole damn thing. And he couldn't do that. So he had to jump. He had to go through all these different legal hoops. He couldn't monetize it on his channel. Things got like 15 million views or something like that. It does. And it's just a prime example. And part of me is like, well, yeah, you don't own
that
Darth Vader.
Yeah,
so
right.
Of course they're going to do all this. But just watching all of his videos and the chronicling of how intricate the process was, I'm like, you have to respect the hoops he jumped through because there's everybody makes a goddamn Star Wars movie and just puts it on YouTube and then it gets demonetized and taken down. And it's like he actually went through the hoops to get it out there so that we can just watch it. He's not making a dime off that motherfucker, and we can just watch it. And it's like you have to respect part of that. I don't know where we were going with that. Somebody was going to make a Patreon thing for.
They were going to for The Last Jedi to make that happen.
And it's like you don't own the copyrights to it. You can't just do that.
I had an argument with somebody else that was like, I'm going to make this movie and we're going to sell it and all this other stuff, and it was just like, you didn't create these characters.
Here's okay. So another example, Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Sure.
Technically, the Matt Damon cameo is illegal.
Yes, because they don't own. He doesn't.
Because the Weinsteins own Dogma, so they own the characters in Dogma, and the only reason, as Kevin Smith has said in interviews and on the commentary track, the only reason it exists was because Harvey Weinstein was going through all of his stuff, and Kevin was like,
under the radar.
"What's he gonna do? Sue me?" He's got a little. He's preoccupied at the moment.
That's literally what he said at the Q&A.
You told me the fucking story. That's the place I heard it. You went to the thing.
I told you.
But yes, it's like.
So like a prime example, is a fan film that keeps getting taken down did you ever watch, it might not hit your taste, but the Power Rangers thing with Katie Sackhoff?
I know. I didn't. I know of it.
So there's a James Vanderbeek, Katie Sackhoff, Power Rangers fan film. It's fantastic if you like Power Rangers. Just look it up. But it keeps getting taken down because Hasbro or Disney or Saban, whoever owns them at the time, kept taking it down. And it's like, because the reason why you're watching this is because of Power Rangers.
Right.
Not because you made this amazing film with amazing dialogue.
Right.
You used characters that people cared about.
Right.
And that's not on you, man. Like,
you don't have the rights to do that.
You don't have the rights to that. So you can't be mad. It's the same people that get pissed because like Twitch is like demonetizing people for using copywritten music. And it's
I'm learning a lot about that because I do Grand Theft Auto on YouTube.
Yep.
And I literally had, because the first thing I thought of just, this show and again, doing the TV show, I know enough about copyrights that I know that because all the radio stations within Grand Theft Auto are real music. They're real stations. And while Rockstar has paid the royalties to use the music in the game, I haven't paid the royalties to broadcast those on a YouTube channel. So I literally had to go into the settings and turn all the music off in the game.
Correct. Yep.
Then I read, and this is a super cool feature, the Cyberpunk game that came out actually has a feature in it that you can switch the music from copywritten to royalty free so you can stream with music that game. And I'm like, these motherfuckers are forward thinking. That's really that feature is super forward thinking. Like, they're just not like, well, you can have this or you can turn it off. They're like, no, we're going to actually add a whole second layer of royalty free music because we know streaming video games is massive right now.
Right. And it's going to be huge. And so like I had this conversation in an argument with somebody at one point where they're like, yeah, but I want to play, rock and roll music that people know. And it's just like, yeah, but here's the problem. You don't own it.
We all do.
Yeah, you don't own it. We can't have we can't have Warrant's Cherry Pie in this like commercial. Like we can't.
One of the Grand Theft Auto videos I put up on the YouTube channel. the first time I cut it was before I was putting stuff on YouTube. I was just doing it because I like editing. It's it's my happy place.
It's fun.
So I was making these little videos and just sharing them with my friends who were playing with me. I think I shared a bunch with you too.
Yeah.
And they had one of them was all like Rage Against the Machine music, and it fit perfectly. And it was the hardest thing in the world for me to go back in because I wanted to put it on YouTube and put royalty-free music over it because I'm like, it's just so perfect with that. Like I thought so long and hard about a lot of back in the day. I used to make Bruins hype up videos for the playoffs and stuff, and all of them had copywritten music on it and stuff like that. And it was one of those things you posted on YouTube knowing the risks. And it's just, some of them just lasted. Some of them got demonetized, et cetera. And then some got muted. And that was like gutting. It's like, and I'm not going to go back and re-edit because it just doesn't work because I edit to the music sometimes.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And if you do that, it's really hard to go back and just be like, here's a royalty-free fucking track. Or, one of the videos I had was like a Tupac thing because it was a funeral scene and it was some random ass Tupac song playing underneath it. And I'm like, it's so good. But I can't put it on YouTube. You know what I mean?
There are two ways I get around it, and I think that it's fantastic. One is on Spotify. It's called Stream Beats. There are several playlists, and basically this guy, his name is Harris Heller. Yep. He saw that this was going on, and then basically just made a rap or technically a hip hop, EDM. Synthwave, lo-fi playlists that just has all sorts of music, and you can just play it because it's his. And so it's copywritten free, and it's free, right? The other one you got to pay for, but the one that I use is Epidemic Sounds.
Okay.
And Epidemic Sounds is just they allow you to have a license on that sort of thing. And so
we had Audio Blocks.
Audio Blocks.
When I did Wicked Bites, the music came from a site called Audio Blocks, which was like a yearly subscription thing.
Yes.
But same thing, it covers you. And it's good it does because a lot of those videos that are on YouTube got fucking hit with copyright claims for the music, and all you had to do was hit dispute, paste in the legal shit that's on the website.
Right.
And it's done.
Yeah. It's good to go.
It's good to go. That's why you're paying for the license. That's what's called. That's why it's called a fucking license. You know what I mean?
But because YouTube is saying you're not allowed to do this, and you go, yes, I am, and here it is, and they're like, okay, you're right.
And then there's shit even like this show here when it gets posted to YouTube or Facebook, and we use the trailer in the middle.
Right.
You watch this one, you saw the Larry Flynt trailer. Well, I would say at this point it's up to 100%. Every single week I get a copyright claim. And in that situation, we don't have a license to use those trailers. No. That falls under fair use, but that's more of a crapshoot. And in that situation, I've actually gotten good at which studios are cool with fair use and which are not, which is why we try to stay away from a lot of Universal movies because they are not cool with it. And then I have to trim out the goddamn trailer, which is a pain in the balls. And as someone who's like, it fits perfectly, I get aggravated. Disney is the best with them.
See, Disney is like one of the companies, and it kind of
we've done almost all the Star Wars and Marvel movies.
Yeah. Disney is fantastic because it stems from Lucasfilm too, for the most part, where they're like, oh, you want to talk about our thing? Yeah. Sure.
Just don't show the whole thing. But you're gonna review the trailer. You're gonna spend 2 hours talking about our movie. Okay, here's fucking 2 minutes. Fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Get out of here.
It makes especially because if they're actually going in and manually reviewing, which some of them do, we're not talking bad about Disney Plus. Please go subscribe.
Go subscribe. It's fantastic.
Fantastic. WandaVision is a gem.
It's a gem.
It's a gem.
Kicking up to an hour.
3 more hours. Cannot wait.
Can't wait.
Oh man. Okay. Is that The People versus Larry Flynt?
I mean, that was The People versus Larry Flynt like about
an hour ago.
20 minutes ago.
Definitely. Well, luckily the subject matter all kind of fit together.
Yeah, it was all legal nonsense, kind of.
Clearly, Eddie had an agenda.
I did have an agenda. I really watched the Smothers Brothers documentary if you want to learn more about First Amendment speech in television and censorship.
You had that ready in the chamber, didn't you?
I did have that ready in the chamber. I could do a whole thing on censorship. It's like, look, here's the thing.
That's
would I ever watch a Serbian film again? No. Would I ever like be like, yeah, man, like you should make that movie? Also, no. But God, go ahead and make your movie because.
But I'll defend your right to do so.
I'm gonna defend your right to do it because fuck, man, like I don't want somebody else telling me in whatever TV show or movie that I'm going on that it's not cool because I morally don't agree with the color or red or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean that's comparing apples and baby fucking. So
yeah.
Yeah. So coming up next week, not a Serbian film.
Thank fucking God.
How about Dice? Are we doing a Dice movie?
No, I already said it's going to be that ended show.
All right, we'll do. We're gonna go back to doing what we were gonna do last week, and it's Alec Baldwin's The Shadow, which is on HBO Max, right?
It is. It is.
Thank you.
Lighthearted and fun.
Let's hope so. Let's hope nobody else dies. It's in a biopic. Thank you for joining us on That Movie Show for the People versus Larry Flynt. Mike Wendt, Eddie McCabe. You can follow us on social media at Mike Wendt, at the Eddie McCabe. Please rate, review, subscribe on all channels. Hit all the buttons. Tell your friends.
Write a review.
Write a review. That'd be fun. Facebook page is facebook.com/thatmovieshowtv. The website is thatmovieshow.net. And we are on any and all podcasting apps, so you can take us with you. Anything else, Eddie?
I don't know when it's going to be coming out, but I did I was on a different YouTube show / podcast as a guest. Happy Ghost Productions, Ghost Stories with Matt Catanzano and Ryan Gall. I told a spooky ghost story. So when that comes out, I will tweet it out to all the things. So be on the lookout for that.
Please, that sounds fascinating. You telling ghost stories.
Yeah, well, that's the whole purpose of this this show is that they just get people that they know to tell like actual real life ghost stories.
So you told the story about the time when you were a child actor that you stayed in a hotel and then you went up to the top floor and then
there were two twins
and you became a ghost in the hotel and then people now ride an elevator to see you.
Yeah.
So
that was exactly what happened. And then,
we're dropping hints because we're going to do that movie.
There's this guy that shows up on a TV and he just looks you dead in the eye and goes, "You're about to die. This elevator is broken, but you're going to get into it anyway."
Yep. Look up. There's somebody hanging.
Yeah.
And I think you're now the only one that doesn't own that movie.
I know.
Because we saw Bill and Danny bought a Tower of Terror movie.
Yeah, right.
The Gutenberg classic.
The Gutenberg classic. Why is that not on Disney Plus?
It's the only Disney movie not on Disney Plus. I mean, they just added the what was it, the Brandy Cinderella one, which everybody went batshit about. This is all that's left. Where's my Gutenberg at?
Right. I'm buying it on Blu-ray.
There you go. Holy shit. I only have it on DVD. It came in
The Real Haunted Mansion, A Mystery of 100 Years. No, that's not it.
Mine came with mine was in a 2-pack with the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion.
All right.
Well, Eddie does some shopping.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week with The Shadow.
Bye, everybody.
That's Hooey Valley, Hooey Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic